Welcome to English Bookshelf, where every book becomes a mirror and every story helps you rediscover yourself. Your mind makes thousands of decisions every single day, yet most of them are not really yours. You think you're choosing logically. You think you're in control. But what if most of your decisions are automatic, biased, and quietly influenced without you ever noticing? This unsettling idea is where thinking fast and slow begins. Daniel Kahneman is not a motivational speaker. He's a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist who spent decades studying how the human mind actually works. Not how we believe it works, but how it behaves under pressure, uncertainty, fear, and confidence. This book is not about becoming smarter overnight. It's about becoming aware of the hidden forces that shape your thoughts, judgments, and choices every day. Kahneman explains that the human mind operates through two systems. One is fast, automatic, emotional. It reacts instantly. The other is slow, deliberate, logical. It requires effort. Most of the time, you live inside the fast system. When you recognize a face, when you feel fear instantly, when you judge someone within seconds, when you answer an easy question without thinking, that is your fast mind at work. It feels effortless. It feels confident. And most importantly, it feels right. But feeling right does not mean being right. The slow system is different. It activates when things get difficult. When you solve a complex problem. When you compare options carefully. When you stop and think before reacting. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The slow system is lazy. It gets tired easily. It prefers not to work unless forced. So most of the time, it lets the fast system take control. This is efficient, but dangerous, because the fast system is full of shortcuts. Mental shortcuts that help you survive quickly, but often lead you to wrong conclusions. Kahneman calls these shortcuts biases. And once you understand them, you start seeing them everywhere. Think about this. If someone speaks confidently, you assume they're competent. If something feels familiar, you assume it's true. If you've heard an idea many times, you trust it more. Not because it's correct, but because it's easy. Your mind loves ease. The fast system is constantly answering questions without asking permission. You see a person. It decides if you like them. You hear a number. It decides if it's big or small. You read a headline. It decides if it's believable. All before your slow system even wakes up. This is why first impressions are so powerful and so misleading. Kahneman explains that once the fast system forms an opinion, the slow system often becomes a lawyer, not a judge. It doesn't question the decision. It defends it. You look for evidence that supports what you already believe. You ignore what doesn't. This is confirmation bias, and it affects everyone, no matter how intelligent. In fact, intelligent people are sometimes worse, because they're better at justifying their mistakes. The book slowly reveals a humbling truth. Human beings are not as rational as they think. We are storytellers. We create stories to explain our choices. After the choice is already made, your mind wants coherence. It wants the world to make sense, even when the data is incomplete. So it fills the gaps. Kahneman shows how this affects everyday life. Investors trust patterns that don't exist. Managers confuse luck with skill. People overestimate their understanding of the future. We feel confident about predictions, even though the future is uncertain. Why? Because the fast system hates uncertainty. It prefers a confident story over an honest, I don't know. This is why hindsight feels so clear. After something happens, it feels obvious. You think, I knew it all along. But you didn't. Your mind simply rewrote the past to feel consistent. This illusion of understanding is one of the most dangerous biases of all. It makes us overconfident. It makes us careless. It makes us repeat the same mistakes. Kahneman explains that confidence is not the same as accuracy. You can feel very sure and still be very wrong. And the world often rewards confidence, not correctness, which makes the problem even worse. Another powerful idea in the book is loss aversion. Loss hurts more than gain feels good. Losing $100 hurts more than gaining $100 brings joy. This single bias shapes countless decisions. People stay in bad jobs because leaving feels like loss. They hold on to failing investments because selling feels painful. They avoid change, even when change would improve their life. Your mind is wired to protect what you have, even if what you have is hurting you. This explains why fear is such a strong motivator, and why growth often feels uncomfortable. Kahneman also explains why we misunderstand risk. We fear dramatic events, even when they are unlikely, and we ignore slow dangers, even when they are almost certain. This is why people fear flying more than driving, even though driving is far more dangerous. Your fast system reacts to vivid images, not statistics. Numbers are quiet, stories are loud, and your mind listens to what is loud. As the book unfolds, you start realizing something unsettling. Many of your beliefs are not carefully reasoned. They are inherited from culture, from media, from repetition. The more you hear something, the more familiar it feels. And the more familiar it feels, the more true it seems. This is the illusion of truth. It's why repeated lies can feel believable. And why marketing works. Not because people are foolish, but because the brain is efficient. Efficiency is not accuracy. Thinking fast saves energy. Thinking slow costs energy. And the brain always tries to save energy. This explains why mental fatigue makes you more impulsive. Why tired people make worse decisions. Why judges give harsher sentences before lunch. The slow system needs fuel. And when fuel is low, the fast system takes over. Understanding this changes how you see yourself. You stop judging yourself for being imperfect and start respecting the limits of the human mind. Kahneman is not trying to make you distrust yourself. He's trying to make you aware. Awareness doesn't remove bias completely, but it softens its power. When you know your mind jumps to conclusions, you pause. When you know confidence can be misleading, you question it. When you know your fear of loss is exaggerated, you reconsider. The goal is not to think slowly all the time. That would be impossible. The goal is to know when to slow down, to recognize moments where intuition is not enough, moments where decisions matter deeply, big choices, long-term commitments, judgments about people and risk. This book is not light reading. It's a mirror, and mirrors can be uncomfortable, but they are honest. By now, one thing becomes clear. Your mind is powerful, but it is not neutral. It is shaped by evolution, emotion, and shortcuts. And the better you understand it, the better you can work with it, instead of being controlled by it. This is only the beginning of the journey. Because once you see how your mind thinks, you start noticing how it misleads you about happiness, about success, about what actually makes life good. And that is where this story goes. The more you listen to these ideas, the harder it becomes to ignore them, because they start showing up in your own life. Daniel Kahneman now takes the conversation deeper into how the mind evaluates experiences, happiness, and memory. And here, the illusion becomes even more personal. You might think you remember experiences accurately, but you don't. You remember them selectively. Kahneman explains that there are two versions of you living inside your mind. One is the experiencing self, the one that feels pain, joy, boredom, and excitement in the moment. The other is the remembering self, the one that looks back and decides how good or bad something was. And here's the shocking part. The remembering self is the one that makes decisions, not the one that actually lived the experience. This means your future choices are guided not by what you truly felt, but by how you remember it. And memory plays tricks. Your mind doesn't average experiences. It focuses on peaks and endings, A vacation with many good days but one bad ending may be remembered as disappointing. A painful experience that ends gently may be remembered as acceptable. This is called the peak-end rule. And once you understand it, you realize how often your past is rewritten. This explains why people repeat experiences that weren't actually good for them and avoid ones that were. Because memory is not a recording. It's a story, and stories are edited. Kahneman then connects this idea to happiness. Most people believe happiness is about how life feels. But decisions are often based on how life is remembered. You choose jobs, relationships, and lifestyles based on predicted happiness. But your predictions are flawed. Your mind focuses on one feature: money, status, comfort, and ignores everything else. This is called the focusing illusion. Nothing in life is as important as you think it is. When you are thinking about it, when you imagine a future situation, you exaggerate its impact. You think a raise will change everything. You think moving will make you happy. You think one decision defines your life. But most of life is lived in the background, and the background matters more than the highlight. This doesn't mean goals are useless. It means expectations are dangerous. Kahneman is quietly telling you something liberating. You don't need to chase perfect outcomes. You need to understand your mind's limits. Because many regrets come from false predictions. We overestimate pain. We overestimate pleasure. And we underestimate our ability to adapt. Humans are remarkably resilient. But we forget that. So we make fearful decisions to avoid imagined suffering. Then the book turns toward a familiar but misunderstood topic: expert intuition. We often trust experts, doctors, analysts, leaders. But Kahneman warns that expertise is not universal. In some fields, intuition works well. In others, it fails completely. Intuition is reliable only in environments that are stable, predictable, and where feedback is clear. Chess masters develop intuition because patterns repeat. Firefighters sense danger because they've seen it many times. But stock markets, long-term forecasting, human behavior at scale, these environments are noisy, random, unpredictable. Here, intuition becomes overconfidence. This explains why forecasts are often wrong, yet delivered with certainty, and why confidence is rewarded even when accuracy is low. The mind prefers a confident answer over an honest uncertainty. Saying, "I don't know," feels weak. But it is often the most intelligent response. Kahneman is not attacking intuition. He's placing it in context. Use intuition when patterns are reliable. Slow down when stakes are high and uncertainty is large. This distinction alone can save you from costly mistakes. By now, the book has done something subtle. It hasn't told you what to think. It has shown you how you think. And once you see that, you can't go back. You notice when your mind jumps to conclusions. You notice when confidence feels too easy. You notice when fear is driving the decision. This awareness doesn't make you perfect, but it makes you more honest. And honesty is the foundation of better choices. There's still more to uncover. About fairness, about judgments, about why we resist statistics and trust stories instead, about why our mind prefers simplicity, even when reality is complex. If these ideas are beginning to reshape how you see your own thoughts, then you're exactly where this book wants you to be. As you move further into these ideas, another quiet realization begins to settle in. Your mind doesn't just make mistakes randomly. It makes predictable mistakes. And once you know the pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. Daniel Kahneman now turns our attention to judgments, the snap decisions we make about people, situations, and numbers. Your fast mind loves shortcuts. If someone is tall, confident, and well-spoken, your mind quietly adds other qualities: competent, intelligent, capable. This is called the halo effect. One positive trait spills over into everything else. And the opposite is also true. one mistake, one awkward moment, and suddenly your mind paints the whole picture negatively. You don't realize you're doing it. It feels natural, effortless, but it's not accurate. Kahneman shows how this affects hiring, leadership, education, and relationships. We think we're judging fairly, but we're often reacting emotionally. Your fast system creates a story instantly, and your slow system, instead of questioning it, usually accepts it. Why? Because questioning takes effort, and effort is expensive. The book then dives into something even more uncomfortable. Numbers. Most people believe numbers are objective, cold, neutral. But your mind doesn't treat numbers that way. It anchors. The first number you hear becomes a reference point, even if it's completely random. If you see a high price first, a low price feels reasonable. If you hear a big number in the news, your estimates shift without you noticing. This is anchoring bias, and it works even when you know it's happening. This is what makes it so powerful. Kahneman explains that the fast system cannot ignore information. Once something enters your mind, it influences you. You can't unsee it. This is why marketing is effective, why negotiation is strategic, why first impressions last. The mind is not a blank slate. It's a sponge, and it absorbs context whether you want it to or not. Then the book explores probability. And this is where intuition struggles the most. Humans are terrible at understanding chance. We see patterns in randomness. We believe streaks mean something. We trust small samples. If something happens twice, your mind expects it to happen again. But randomness doesn't care about expectations. Kahneman shows how people misunderstand luck and skill. Success stories feel inspiring, but they hide randomness. Failure stories feel avoidable, but they hide complexity. We love clean narratives. Reality is messy. This is why people overestimate their control. They believe effort always leads to success. They believe talent always wins. But chance plays a bigger role than we like to admit. This doesn't mean effort doesn't matter. It means humility does. Understanding randomness makes you less judgmental toward others and toward yourself. You stop blaming yourself for every bad outcome. You stop glorifying every success. You start seeing life more clearly. Kahneman also explains why incentives change behavior. People respond to what is measured, not what is intended. If you reward speed, quality suffers. If you reward numbers, meaning disappears. This is why poorly designed systems create bad outcomes, even when people have good intentions. Understanding this helps you design better goals, better metrics, better expectations. The book keeps circling back to one powerful message. Your mind is not broken. It is efficient. It evolved to make fast decisions in uncertain environments. But the modern world is different, complex, statistical, abstract, and ancient shortcuts struggle here. This is why awareness matters. You cannot remove bias completely, but you can slow down when it matters. You can question your certainty. You can seek data over stories. You can pause before reacting, and that pause is where wisdom lives. By now, you might feel slightly unsettled. That's normal. This book is not meant to comfort you. It's meant to wake you up, to show you that thinking is not as simple as it feels, and that clarity requires effort. There's still one more deep layer to explore, one that connects thinking to decision-making, to how we design our lives. As the ideas continue to unfold, Daniel Kahneman brings us to a place that feels deeply personal. Choice, not small choices, but the ones that quietly shape the direction of your life. Career, money, relationships, risk. These are the moments where we believe we are most rational. And yet, these are the moments where bias is strongest. Kahneman explains that when decisions feel important, our confidence often increases, even though our accuracy does not. This is dangerous Because confidence gives us comfort. It makes uncertainty feel manageable. But comfort is not clarity. The mind hates admitting ignorance. So it creates stories. Stories about control. Stories about certainty. Stories about knowing what will happen next. But the future is not a story. It's a probability. And probabilities are uncomfortable. This is why people prefer advice that sounds certain, even when it's wrong. A confident prediction feels safer than an honest range of possibilities. Kahneman shows how this affects planning. We underestimate how long things will take, how much they will cost, how difficult they will be. This is called the planning fallacy. You assume things will go smoothly because imagining obstacles feels pessimistic. But optimism is not realism. This is why projects run late, budgets explode, deadlines slip, not because people are careless, but because the mind is biased toward best-case scenarios. Understanding this doesn't make you negative. It makes you prepared. Prepared people don't expect perfection. They expect friction. And because they expect friction, they handle it better. The book also explores how framing changes decisions. The same option can feel attractive or terrifying, depending on how it's presented. A treatment that saves 90% of patients feels comforting. A treatment where 10% die feels risky. Same reality, different frame. Your fast mind reacts emotionally to framing. Your slow mind must work to correct it. But correction requires effort, and effort is often skipped. This is why words matter, why headlines shape opinions, why language influences belief. Kahneman is not saying people are easily fooled. He's saying the brain is designed to respond quickly, not carefully. Care takes energy. Another subtle idea emerges here. Experience alone does not create wisdom. If feedback is unclear, or delayed, or noisy, you can repeat the same mistake for years without ever realizing it. This is why some people feel experienced, but never improve. Learning requires feedback that is timely and accurate. Without it, confidence grows. But competence does not. This is one of the most humbling insights of the book. It explains why some beliefs become stronger with time, even when they are wrong. Kahneman encourages intellectual humility, not doubting everything, but recognizing limits, knowing when to trust intuition and when to slow down, knowing when to decide quickly and when to pause. This balance is rare and valuable. By now, the book has quietly changed how you listen to yourself. You notice certainty. You notice fear. You notice how quickly a story forms in your mind. And sometimes, you choose not to believe it. That small act of distance is powerful because it creates space between thought and action. And in that space, better decisions become possible. There's just one final idea left, one that brings everything together. How understanding the mind changes not just how we decide, but how we live. As the journey reaches its final turn, Daniel Kahneman leaves us with something quieter than advice. He leaves us with perspective. By now, you understand that your mind is not a single voice. It's a conversation, a fast voice that reacts, feels, and judges instantly, and a slow voice that reasons, checks, and reflects. When it's invited to speak, most of life is lived in the fast voice. And that's not a mistake. It's how we function. But the danger comes when we never slow down. In moments that truly matter. Kahneman is not asking you to doubt every thought. He's asking you to notice when your thoughts deserve attention. Big decisions, strong emotions, confident judgments, predictions about the future. These are the moments where slowing down can change everything. Because the greatest cost of bias is not small daily errors. It's the big life decisions made with false certainty. Thinking fast and slow does not promise wisdom. It offers humility. The humility to say, I might be wrong. And that sentence alone can protect you from countless mistakes. You become less harsh with yourself, less judgmental of others, more curious instead of defensive. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What did I not see?" This shift is powerful. It turns failure into feedback, success into learning, confidence into caution. Kahneman also reminds us that happiness is fragile, not because life is cruel, but because our expectations are distorted. We imagine happiness as a destination, but our mind exaggerates peaks and ignores the everyday background of life. Understanding this frees you. You stop chasing perfect moments. You start appreciating steady ones. You stop predicting happiness. You start experiencing it. In the end, this book is not about thinking more. It's about thinking better, not faster, not slower, but wiser. It teaches you that awareness is not about control. It's about clarity. You may never eliminate bias, but you can stop being blind to it. And that awareness quietly improves everything. Your decisions, your relationships, your work, your understanding of yourself. This is why thinking fast and slow stays with you. It doesn't give you answers. It changes the questions you ask. And better questions lead to better lives. If this journey through the human mind made you pause, made you notice your own thoughts a little differently, then this time together mattered. And if you enjoy ideas that slow you down instead of speeding you up, stories that help you understand yourself more clearly, you're always welcome here. This is English Bookshelf. You can share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to continue exploring meaningful ideas. And return whenever you feel the need to think a little more carefully before moving forward.